They say there's only one thing worse than being talked about, and that's your attitude. Welcome to the Trdq 400th episode spectacular. I was going to do something proper, get the camera out, put it on the tripod and all that, but it's hot today. I didn't even shave my head, I'm fat as fuck, my teeth are bad, my back's sore, and I'm still supposed to make the best Transformers reviews on the planet. It seems unreasonable, but let's do it. Last episode I reviewed Grandis, and it doesn't really get any better than that, does it? I've peaked, in a way, and there's only one place to go once you've peaked, and that's down. So let's go right down into something that I genuinely think maybe only I care about. Last episode, of course, I took that opportunity to say thank you to you for watching and liking and subscribing, for helping out on Patreon. But I thought it would be nice to give some of my audience the opportunity to say thanks to me for all Trdq has done for them over the years. So we'll be sprinkling in some testimonials as we go through the video. So what are we going to look at for episode 400? What are we collectively going to spend our one life on this earth looking at? Well,
The Botsmaster. The Botsmaster.
The Botsmaster.
and I know what you're thinking, the Botsmaster, are you fucking joking? Yeah, but no, also it's going to be about the Botsmaster. So what is the Botsmaster?
The Botsmaster is a 1993 animated series and toy line where Ziv, ZZ Zoolander, and his robotic creations take on the evil RM Corp. If you want to know more about that show, click the link in the description to see the infinite reviews take on the whole debacle. The main differentiator for the Botsmaster was the inclusion of 3D specs, with toys and other media, and during the show you'd enter a period of laser time, where you get to see a surprisingly decent 3D style effect. But we're not here to talk about the cartoon, we're here to talk about the toys. And we've got an entire line here to look at. Some may be missing the odd missile here and there, but for fuck's sake, it's the 400th episode, have some empathy. There's 4 major groups in the Botsmaster line. We've got the boys, that's ZZ and his brain-operated youth zygotopic Zoids, and the evil robots with that bad bastard Dr. Hiss, transforming evil bots, and of course the combiner team that creates the giant jungle Fiverr. So look, stop wasting your time, get over it, dry your eyes, and enjoy the ratings poison that is the Botsmaster. Well, it wouldn't be the Botsmaster without the Botsmaster themselves. Maybe it's Ziv, ZZ, Zoolander. So what's their deal? You know, like all toys today don't. You've got some nice cut out and keep bio cards. Thanks to whoever sold me these toys over a year ago, by the way, for cutting and keeping. I'm not reading these out loud, so pause if you're interested, wee man. But being the protagonist, Ziv is a bit of a boring bastard, isn't he? Looks like something from the Bionic 6. Which I don't even mind mentioning here, because if you're sticking around for the fucking Botsmaster, you might as well hear about other horse shit that nobody liked. Of course, he's got a ton of accessories we'll look at, calm down, but I do like his earnest face, his big almost Ginger Barnett, and the nice hand held out in friendship. All the usual articulation you might expect from a toy of this size, but nothing spectacular. It's when we get to ZZ's gear, of which there is a lot, you know, things get, well, I wouldn't say they're more interesting, but certainly more interesting. Can you believe this isn't even all of it? We're supposed to have something to combine all of this into a bigger weapon, but there's one small piece missing, which messes it up for us, but we can still have fun, right? You know, first up is this weird kind of American football pad armor. It reminds me of Man-at-Arms or Big Van Vader a little bit, if Vader had a cute wee keyboard on his belly. Some cables connect to the back and a nauseating prawn salad pink, and if they'd stop pinging around at the merest touch, I would appreciate it. Next is ZZ's laser-firing helmet. Now, does it fire anything? Does it fuck? But it does remind us of the New Adventures of He-Man. That's how we're going to get through this, folks. We're going to compare it to slightly better stuff. As I say, Ziv is supposed to be able to combine this guff into a big rifle. How they expected kids to keep all these little pieces is beyond me. Did they even think about YouTubers in 2025? Probably not. Lazy. Still, we can store all the crud on Ziv, so when we do finally get all the pieces, we'll be laughing, won't we? With all this equipment on him, I have to say though, Ziv Zoolander looks terrible. But it's time to spice things up and have a look at the boys, or le boys, or die boys, or Lost Boys? First up is Twig, who is the mature, level-headed bot of the bunch. Design is less than riveting, I'll give you that, but it's interesting that Ziv designed Twig to have nipples. The same articulation as ZZ, but he does have a ball joint on the waist, so you can pretend that he's dizzy. On the shoulders, we've got these holes for keeping the missiles in, very carefully, because they're on this firing mechanism where you pull at the back end and the spring shoots them out. They don't lock in either, so there's no way you can play with these without them falling out. I don't know if that's just through time, or from wear and tear, or if it's always been like this. But Twig does have a big missile launcher, which can hold both missiles, but can only fire one, in much the same way as the shoulders. I'm building up to the good stuff here, I promise. Next up is Bats, who doesn't even have a Z in their name. I'm gutted we don't have Bat's baseball glove here, but otherwise this is a cool design. I like his big nappy and the bulbous crotch design. It's at least different. A fun head sculpt where you wonder if those are his teeth. And there's a nice bluebird yellow plastic behind the whole thing. Bats has got the same ball joint swivel as Twig, but it comes with a special feature sure to thrill you like a needle of adrenaline to the heart. That's right, wee grooves for your thumb to gain purchase on. The purpose of this? To grate the skin off your thumb into dust. It must be, because it certainly does fuck all else. I'm assuming it's meant to mimic a swinging motion, but the joint's just too tight. If you're wondering what Bats would even swing, then you're daft because he comes with a big baseball bat. Kinda. We've got this ball-tipped missile which sits in the Bakey Bat-shaped bazooka. Bats can hold it like this, but not like an actual baseball bat because the handle is too thick. The pullback and fire mechanism on this one has gone to shit as well, so imagine this firing with all the ferocity of a tiny frog's last heartbeat. And now, an actual decent toy. We got there, folks. Ninjas is a frustratingly named lad, but I do love the design. The colours really pop on that black plastic. And there is a lot to appreciate here. The bow arm, the double arms on the other side. It's a cool look. We've got two swords on the back. Remove those and put them into the hands there. And we spin the wheel for a dervish of death. Lovely. We've got the ball joint waist again, which does help a little more with a more slender framed bot. I'm missing a shuriken for the launcher, and he really should have a belt to hold this big kendo stick. But even without them, this is a very successful action figure. And even then, you can slide these sections out on the legs, and he's got rollerblades, kid. Incredibly 90s, and I love it. A good toy?
You join me here on a beautiful sunny day to celebrate the 400th episode of TRDQ. Gav has given me a whole 12 seconds to tell you how important it is.
But what is Batman without the Joker? Baddies to make the goodies sleep less soundly in their little beds. Well, we have the evil bots led by someone who isn't a bot, Dr. Hiss. I just adore the look of this little maniac. It looks like he was designed in the dark. That bulbous eye with the cables running into his mouth. Like, what are those for? You know, probably pumping a direct line of Ribena to his belly. His shrink-to-fit blue jeans hug his legs, or his one leg, with some very dapper riding boots. Of course, the two major things you'll notice are his exposed mechanical heart, which 20 plus years ago pumped red liquid through the toy by pressing this button, but has since dried up, and this cyborg mechanical leg in a very strange pose, but this might be my favourite gimmick in the line, to be fair. Pull the leg back and whoomph, Dr. Hiss can deliver the goods on the field, let me tell you. This kick packs a wallop. Other than that, we've got his extendo hand, and I might have to zoom out for this one, hold on. Whoop! Okay, right, easily 5mm here, maybe. Still, as a baddie, the baddie of the line really, since we don't have the other human baddie allies, it's a solid, fun wee guy. Good on you, Dr. Hiss. And because of the Hiss name, I usually have this rubber snake I stole from a He-Man figure around him, so I dare say this ties everything together. Backing up this diabolical little prick is Greenbot. How did they come up with this stuff? The ultimate mean machine. And they kind of look the part, don't they? It's not blowing me away design-wise, but it is cool. You know, I'd say my favourite thing about this is the articulation on the arms. If you raise them, they start pointing outwards, meaning if he's in full attack mode, he just kind of looks like he wants a hug. 3 features on this one. Well, maybe 2, depending on your outlook. This beefy arm's got a red switch for some grabby action, and the other arm has a pretty substantial rocket launcher gimmick, which is very welcome. The last one, quite a few Botsmaster toys have this, right, and I don't think it serves any purpose other than this, but when you spin the wheel on his back, and the little cog in his tummy turns, I was hoping it does something, or it did something that offered connectivity with other toys. Maybe it was just wishful thinking for me, though, the eternal optimist. Humobot is up next, and their bio says that Humobots are soldier cyborgs manufactured from over-eager bodybuilders. Love it. Besides being more yoked than a former Transformers writer, Humobot sadly has less going on than Greenbot, just the arm launcher and the spinny tummy this time. We do get a little window that shows their cybernetic heart. Maybe, it's hard to tell, but look at those arms and those thighs and the commitment to one of the least attractive colour combinations. Dull grey, deep royal blue, yellow and a kind of snotty green. No thank you, Humobot. You're shredded, but no thank you. Yes man, business is going to pick up now with the final evil bot, PPB, the private police bot. Now just because they're a police bot, don't start, at least they're labelled correctly in the right category. This is a favourite design in the whole line, for sure. The colours are great. That design, especially with the red snood and the green eyes, feels right out of Spawn. And I'm one of the only people on Earth who might consider that a good thing. But check out the sculpt on the gun arm. It doesn't fire, but it's huge, and I love it. You can move the bullets up and down, creating a very satisfying clicky sound. Spinny belly makes a return, which is fine. And then we have the dreaded elbow rocket on the other arm. It's perfect for firing aimlessly into the sky, behind you, or as the instructions show, have him contort into this very uncomfortable looking stance to fire forward. It looks bad, but he's a robot and a polis, so fuck him. Before we get to the real juicy toys in the transforming robots section, I thought we'd introduce a special guest, rapping about robots with a fellow Botsmaster aficionado. Now, of course, if you know your scripture, Botsmaster was so unpopular that now, legally, only one person per country is allowed to be into it. So I caught up with Ireland's representative, Owen ODonnell, to talk about how his life has come to this. Owen ODonnell, it's laser time.
That's absolutely right, Gavin. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm very happy to have you here as Ireland's Botsmaster representative and indeed expert. It's always a pleasure to meet another one of my international bros. Can you tell us a little bit about how Botsmaster shaped the culture in Ireland?
I think what actually happened was Ireland informed the Botsmaster at the time. I think they looked at what was happening in Ireland at the time. The people who made Botsmaster thought, if only the IRA had their own robots.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard that, but this is why we have these international meetings. You should hear some of the other guys and their theories on how.
What if the IRA had access to their own robots?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, yeah, they all come back to the IRA.
What if the IRA had their own robots that could talk, dance, and rap?
So, Owen, you've been kind enough to bring us some very unique memorabilia to the show today.
That's right. I don't like to brag, but I do have some original Botsmaster Panini stickers.
No way! That's so cool. I've never seen those before. Nobody has.
All the way from the Panini factory in 1994.
And that's in Italy, am I right?
That's right, and that's when they were on the top of their game.
Fuck me. Now, of course, the Botsmaster was a huge part of nobody's childhood, so no one knows what's inside these packs. I mean, you can only imagine what's inside these packs.
Can I ask you honestly, Gavin?
Mm-hmm.
What's the big flaw? What's the big flaw in this?
Well, there's no bots for one thing.
There's no bots for one thing.
But then again, if you think about it, there's a possibility with such a large cast that there's going to be no robots in the stickers either.
Do you think that's what's going to happen?
You could have Lady Frenzy, you could have Dr. Hiss, you could have Ziv Zoolander, the other guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any large presumptions. Obviously, one can only imagine what's in those sticker packs, but are we going to have a look at some of those today?
No, these are quite rare and very valuable. So I won't. I'm more than happy to show you that I have them, but
yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, but we're not going to open them.
I just don't think it would be right. I don't think it would be to anyone's benefit to open them.
Okay. No, fair enough. It's your stickers. You do what you like with them. Ultimately, I can't tell you what to do with your own stickers.
I have my own channel where if they are to be opened, you could probably check that out over on my YouTube channel. That's the Infinite Review, where we open our stickers.
Thanks for your time, though. We really appreciate it. I guess now that we've got our 3D specs on, all that's left is to get down to business.
Absolutely. Do you want to start, or?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Owen. Okay, that's enough. Time to get into Batman's dinner, the meat and potatoes transforming robots. Look out, it's Chopperbot. Or don't. I don't think they're in a position to do much, to be honest. That's unfair. They are big drone robots, and I honestly quite like the design and the colours. There's something very cute here. Cute details like the hand articulation, so you can do a little wave. We also have a little turbine to spin if you've got nothing else to do of an afternoon. The front guns can move up and down, and those big stompers have got some nice range of movement. We're supposed to have some launchers that go into these holes, but we do have the missiles, which is no good to anyone, but if I've realised anything about this line, firing missiles are not the strong point. Now, you might have seen the runtime of this video. Most of it will be taken up by these transformations here. Okay, so let's get Chopperbot into the helicopter mode. Okay, first we're bringing this canopy up, folding the arms back, and then we're done. Yeah, alright. I think this disaster could have been mitigated if they gave us something better than this tiny little rotor. But you know what? It's so out of proportion and so clearly a robot lying down. It's grown on me due to how shite it is. Speaking of which, Skyfighters here. They're a little more competent looking than Chopperbot. We've got the turbine in the belly, of course. And these hands are quite fun too as they snap into position. He's chunky, he's quite clicky. And with one of the two launchers on his back, it's a decent combo of colours, with the blacks, the reds and the purples, but the orange arms are just bringing everything together in 90s glory. Transformation, first we've got to deploy the wings that are less than anything, really. Tip the head back, fold in the arms, push the feet in to reveal fins on the other side, and yeah, we're done, again. And I know what you're saying, you are saying that's shite, and it is, but in a really charming way. I would have been raging if I'd bought this as a kid, but we're in 2025 and it's got a distinct charm that's hard to articulate because I'm daft. We're mixing things up with the final evil robot because this is actually good. Tankbot. And look at this beast. Ridiculous. So much going on. Colours that don't go together, but they kinda work. So big and heavy with so much character despite the head just being a tank turret. We've got a big turbine in there and count them, two missile launchers, one on the arm and the other in his beak. You've also got this wrist articulation. It doesn't factor into the transformation and is kind of weird, but appreciated. Now look, you're going to have high expectations after the last two alt modes, but please be reasonable. Essentially, he's sitting down on his arse and rolling along on treads and the back wheels. But honestly, I kind of love it. Tankbot's the only real success of the evil robots line, coming out on top just because he's big. Like me, there is a lot to love in this boy, even if he is essentially nothing that turns into shit all.
I first met Gavin Spence in 2020, playing Fortnite with some mutual friends, and for weeks he never mentioned or promoted the fact that he had a YouTube channel because he's too nice and too polite. And that probably explains why his channel gets the numbers it does. But when a friend finally mentioned it, and I checked it out, I discovered it was some of the funniest and funnest stuff I've ever seen on YouTube, and it was a highlight of my lockdown. Gavin's reviews of Tales of the Unexpected are just so cool. They're just brilliant. It's really good stuff, man, like seriously. Yeah, I hope you're proud of yourself. Some people could do... A lot of people in our line of work are pretty full of themselves. Gavin could do with being a little bit more full of himself, I think. I think he deserves that. It made me wish we were better friends. But sadly, that door is closed. He keeps making fun of my Wikipedia page, and that's just not on. Like, anyone can edit that. I don't get to decide how they talk about me.
So, the Bots Master, kinda okay so far, not blowing us away perhaps, but that is going to change because we now have the privilege of looking at 5 bot combining team who come together to create Jungle Fiverr. First up, damn, it's Helibot. Helibot is a much more successful version of Chopperbot, immediately. That's much better, isn't it? Almost a mech warrior kind of look. It's clear these robots don't have a lot of individual personality, but design-wise, I really quite like Helibot. We've got these two shoulder-mounted missiles and a pair of grabby hands. My favourite part is probably these killer heels, and I'm glad the rotors are a little less underwhelming. I mean, they're still pretty crappy, especially considering the alt mode, but you know what? I think this is bad, but if we move the arms forward like in the robot mode and they just treat this thing like a sort of flying wraith or ghoul, I really quite like it, so there. Tankbot is the tough lad of the team, and it shows with his boxy body and the giant missile launcher dangling twixt his legs. A definitely chubby Warpath feel to Tank Bastard here, especially when you point this piece forward. You got ball joints on all the limbs, which is a bit of a surprise, and yeah, maybe the most coherent robot we've seen so far. Transformation time though, and fucking hell, come on boys, look at the state. Like, it was going so well, couldn't they have found a way to fold those feet in? Like, this stinks. You're not hiding the head, the awkwardness of the arms. At least bring the legs together. Something abysmal. Alt mode. At least the turret kinda works. It's a low bar for a dude called Tankbot, I grant you. Hoverbot is the stealthy boy, and I'll be honest, I quite like the look of them. I dearly wish these robots had faces instead of obvious canopies, but it reminds me of Commandrons, which share the charming to shite ratio that Botsmaster has. I've never really seen legs done like this before on these weird joints that allow everything to turn. The arms feel kind of backwards too, but if you spin them around, he can only do 1/4 of the YMCA. There's still two little lasers and this oddly articulated turret on his belly, and of course the missiles here point skyward right next to his head. That cannot be safe. Still, let's see some magic as we transform this little miracle into... well, look. Listen, again, like, it's a hovercraft of sorts. I don't like it, but you might. You know, at least they did something about the gaps between the legs, and it looks more like an actual vehicle than most of the stuff we've seen so far. So good for you, Hoverbot.
Thank you, Gavin.
Jet B is the only member of the group where I don't have a bio card, so we'll just have to imagine the spectacular Budiansky-like background story for this dude. Jet B is, maybe sadly, I'm not sure yet, the closest we've got to a Transformer. Like, I know we're not here for Transformers, but as Transformers enthusiasts, we look for this kind of thing. I mean, if you had told me this came out a whole decade after Transformers, I would have a hard time believing you. Still, the head can spring up and down, and again, we've been blessed with platforms that David Bowie would be jealous of. Coupled with some decent enough arm articulation, Jet B is fine. Upon moving the nose cone up, you push the head into this little plastic foreskin, and we tuck the arms into fight position, as the instructions say, and... I know. 400 episodes, man. Like, that's a long time to look at mostly good things. This video's good. This video's working. I believe that. What isn't working for me is the missile launcher on top of the jet, though, because for some reason, each of these launchers seems to have its own proprietary launcher and missile, so I can't just grab it from another toy. I appreciate you going to these lengths, the Botmaster, but it does not help me in 2025. Last up is Half B, a monstrosity. And I adore it. It's the closest this line has to redeeming itself fully. The absolute state of him. It's little pokey arms with spinners that reveal these little digging pegs when you turn them. You can have them out the way for some action, or swing them in to look like Half B has just walked in on their own surprise party. Despite the hips having ball joints, it's a pretty stiff affair, but we do get the return of a bobby up and down head. The transformation is essentially lying Half B down like the Sphinx, and I dare say this is just as impressive. A half-track tank thing. Good for him. You can have the head popping out like in the instructions, or you can kind of mess with it till it tucks away. The instructions does say it lowers for defense, which is kind of funny. So you'll probably notice with these ball joint looking things on his shoulders, educated people amongst you might be thinking, that's not how the combiner combines, is it? On stiff, moulded ball joints? Well, yes, let's do it.
Hey everyone, inventor of Transformers, Simon William Johns Holmes here. I just wanted to say that Gav Spence has taught me to laugh at Scottish people, love my hobby, and my children the word motherfucker. And for that, I am gonna get him pregnant.
Like you might expect, each robot turns into a limb that connects to the bigger Half B body. It's a fairly simple process because they didn't really care that much about these looking like limbs or ending up with something that can stand on its own. I mean, look at that. This is Jungle Fiverr, the centerpiece of the line, and it is absolute garbage. This thing came in a box set, and I have to give them credit, the box art is bitchin', but this, like a lot of the line, I'm not saying it doesn't have charm, but it is undoubtedly terrible. It doesn't really have the ability to do anything. It can't move or pose or anything. It's just standing there like a sleepwalker who's opened your bedroom door and pissed themselves. It's funny, it's pathetic, it's fun to look at, and that kind of sums up the Botsmaster line. Also, Jungle Fiverr. What the fuck are you talking about? Is that meant to be a pun on Jungle Fever? Why? Why would you possibly... What could you mean by that? It's easily the most intriguing part of the line for me. Who thought that name was a good idea? I can't say I hate it, but when you look at the whole line, there's only really one bot from each of the 4 sections that I'd say are worth anyone's time, and that's kind of wild for such a large series of toys. But I am glad that I looked at them. Warts and all, missing pieces, and that. It's fun to look at an entire line of toys, because they kind of hold a sense of hope that this could be the one. The next Ninja Turtles or whatever. It's clear that many talented people worked on this line. They just took a big swing and a reasonably large miss. Oh, thank you to everyone who stuck around for the full length of this video. It went so much longer than I thought it would. Thanks to everyone who sent a celebratory video. Thanks to you who've supported me with likes, subscriptions, comments, Patreon support. I do not know where TRDQ goes from here, but it is time for change, and we'll see that change soon.
Ooh, what's happening? Are we getting a new backdrop or something?
Yeah, we're getting a new backdrop. Hey! Thanks very much. Fucking ruined the surprise.
Oh, fancy new backdrop. Big fucking deal.
Well, it is, actually, because... Well, it's because...
You don't even know.
Ah!
Ah!